Hi, I'm Wendy Gregory and this is my YouTube channel, The Wendy House. I'm here today to tell you what you can do if your partner or ex-partner took your money. Firstly, if you are or were in a relationship with that person, this could be defined as domestic abuse, more specifically financial abuse. Now, it doesn't matter if the relationship's over or you never lived with that person. It doesn't matter if you found out that they were in a relationship with someone else, living with someone else, or even married to someone else. The important thing was that you had an intimate relationship with that person. The people that do this are very often in multiple relationships. So you almost certainly weren't the first person they've done this to, and you probably, sadly, won't be the last. Now, I know just how hard and heartbreaking this can be. You had feelings for that person, you wanted to help them out of the kindness of your heart. They abused that and they betrayed your trust, and it really is the worst sort of betrayal. It can leave you feeling like a fool and completely devastated. Now, you might be blaming yourself, you might be feeling a bit embarrassed, not wanting to tell people about it, family or friends. Please believe that you're not alone, you're not stupid, and it's definitely not your fault. You might well have thought that there's nothing that you can do because you handed that money over. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. There's plenty that you can do. So take that power back. Why should that person have your hard-earned money? What did they do to deserve it? I'm guessing nothing at all. Alright, so how did it happen? They probably gave you a hard luck story and said that they desperately needed money for a business they were setting up, to visit a sick relative abroad, to pay for a relative or a friend's urgently needed operation, for an operation they urgently needed themselves, or any other kind of sob story that pulled on your heartstrings. They would have been utterly convincing. They quite possibly gave you some sort of proof. Things like forwarding you texts or emails from businesses, friends, relatives and so on. But those things are very easily faked. They may have got someone to call you to reassure you, posing as a friend or a business partner or a relative. They assured you they'd pay that money back very soon. They might even have signed a contract to show you how and when they would repay you. But whatever they did or said, it was total bullshit. But you were utterly convinced. These people are very convincing and usually very plausible. So, firstly, I'd like you to be aware of the definition of fraud. Fraud by false representation is when a person dishonestly makes a false representation and intends by making that representation to make a gain for himself or another, or to cause loss to another, or to expose another to the risk of loss. And a representation is false if it is untrue or misleading, if the person making it knows that it is, or that it might be untrue or misleading. So does that fit the bill? If it does, what can you do? Firstly, find out the truth, and secondly, get justice and your money back, hopefully. Alright, so we're going to take a step back now and check how you know that this person's deceiving you. If you're suspicious, then you're almost probably right. So start asking questions, and if you're not satisfied with the answers, keep on asking. Some common excuses for not repaying you are: I'm owed money, I haven't been paid, my bank account has been scammed, a family member is ill, I've got cancer, blah de blah de blah. Don't be afraid to challenge those excuses and ask for proof. So if they say their bank account's been scammed or they haven't been paid, ask for a screenshot of their bank statement. Make sure you keep all records of texts, messages and emails, and try to communicate by email or at the very least text rather than word of mouth, so that you do have that written record. Record any phone calls between you, so you can download an app like Smart Voice Recorder for free to your phone. If you met this person on a dating site online, initially don't complain to the site, because it might actually be useful for their profile to stay on there. It might be investigated or used as evidence at some point. Now, meanwhile, do as much digging as you can. Find out absolutely everything you can about this person's past, about their financial history, any businesses or jobs they've had, their employment history, any CCJs or county court judgments they have or they've had in the past, any marriages or relationships they've been in. Now, you can get a full background check online for about £15, so don't be tempted to pay out to investigation companies who charge hundreds if not thousands. Try to find anything out that could count as a false representation. So if they said they were in a business or a company director and they're not, that counts as false representation. If you find that they're still in a relationship and have been since before they met you, or in a marriage, that could also count. So now that you're feeling more certain that you have actually been scammed, what are your options? Well, you have two, but please note you can't do both at the same time. It's one or the other. So the first option is the civil route. If you want to do that, go to gov.uk and type in make a court claim for money. You can fill in an online form for both the money owed to you and interest on it. It does cost a proportion of the amount owed, but if you win your case, that can be added to your debt. And if your partner is working, the money can be deducted from their earnings. The second route is to go to the police. If you wish to do this, call 101 initially and say you believe you've been a victim of fraud in a domestic relationship and that you'd like to make a statement. Now, because you were in a relationship, as I explained earlier, the police can get involved. For other types of fraud, you'd be directed to action fraud, and although they record it, you don't usually hear anything else from them. They might report it back to your local force, but don't expect to hear anything. So the police will arrange a mutually convenient time to come round and discuss this with you, and if appropriate, take a statement from you which you will need to sign. So make sure that you have all the evidence and are very clear in your own mind about exactly how and when this happened, in what order, etc. You'll also be given the opportunity to make a victim personal statement detailing how this has affected you emotionally and in all kinds of other ways, but you don't actually have to do that straight away. So what happens next? The officers will go back to the station and talk to their sergeant, and they'll make a decision about whether your case is worth investigating. If they do decide to go ahead, be warned, be prepared for a long, long wait. This can take months, sometimes years, but don't give up. You're not pestering, you are entitled to regular updates, and if you're not satisfied that this is being investigated properly or progressed properly, call 101 again and say you wish to make a complaint. All such calls have to be followed up in a very short time frame, usually 24 hours, with a call from an inspector. They will tell you whether they agree that you've got grounds for a complaint, and if they do agree, they'll talk to the officers involved and they'll agree an action plan with you. Now, be prepared to repeat this process more than once. Ultimately, if you're still not satisfied that it's being investigated or progressed properly, you can ask to make an official formal complaint. I really hope your case is not going to be that difficult, and then at some point the suspect will be interviewed and a decision made about whether to charge them. Now, this has to be approved by the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service. If it is, then it will very likely go to Crown Court, sometimes Magistrates Court, but fraud is considered a very serious offence. Now, if you have doubts or start to have doubts during this process, remember that it's you that are in the right here, not them. You're the victim, not the suspect, and try to get as much support from friends or family as you can, because this whole process can be absolutely devastating, exhausting and draining. Finally, I really hope that this has helped you. If it has been helpful, please share this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Wendy House. And I will be following this video up with several others. You can post a comment or a question on my Facebook page, The Wendy House, and the links to that will be coming up when this finishes. So you look after yourself and the very best of luck. Take care.